achieving peace. Now to Pakistan, fierce shelling and explosions continue along the Pakistan-Afghanistan border as military clashes enter their 8th day on the March 5th. Tensions have escalated since last week's Pakistani airstrikes on Afghan cities, bringing volatility to an already unstable region. The UN has raised concerns about limited humanitarian access to the affected areas, making casualty reports hard to verify. The UN spokesperson has emphasised the importance of protecting civilians and ensuring aid agencies have swift and unhindered access to provide relief. Let's listen into his statements.
Humanitarian colleagues tell us that hostilities along that border have now continued for a 7th straight day. OCHA says that access to areas impacted by the clashes remain limited, so casualties reports cannot yet be independently verified. Schools and markets in several districts remain closed amid continued instability, while mortar fire has forced families to flee villages in northwest Pakistan. Our colleagues noted that aid workers continue to help people who need humanitarian aid in the south of the province of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, in Pakistan, but some of their work in border areas have been temporary.
The UN spokesperson has further added that the ongoing violence has forced schools and markets to close, and mortar fire has driven families out of their villages in northwest Pakistan. Cross-border shelling and airstrikes have also caused casualties and damaged homes in Afghanistan. Moreover, the International Organization for Migration has warned that the current escalation could worsen Afghanistan's already strained infrastructure, particularly in areas hosting returnees and displaced families. The UN says that it urges all parties to uphold international law and protect civilian lives and property. Joining us again, we have Shruti Dasgupta, who is a foreign affairs expert in New Delhi. Shruti, of course, in Pakistan, they share a border with Iran, which is currently in war. They also have the border with Afghanistan, which is the subject to a current war between Afghanistan and Pakistan. How will this war in Iran affect the war currently going on between Afghanistan and Pakistan, and how could it affect the people in the region?
Afghanistan is already under a lot of trouble because from what the UN reports that you've mentioned, they've mentioned East Afghanistan as well as southeast of Afghanistan of people fleeing in thousands. There are ghost villages now with just a few members staying back to guard property. Otherwise, the rest have had to go back. So Afghanistan remains one of the major places where in South Asia a lot of UN aid goes through, food aid included. So they've had to put that on a stop, like midday meals, food programs have all been paused. So there is a humanitarian crisis, not just because people have fled homes, but because the people that were fleeing home were already deprived of basic human necessities like food, water and clothes. So something like this, and skirmish along the Durand line and along the borders, it's a 2,000 kilometer odd border that Afghanistan shares with Pakistan, is a disturbed area. Even Pakistani citizens have now started deciding to move back. Pakistan, of course, suffers from its own economic problems. So the war in Iran is a very minor part of Pakistan's problem. They're doing a whole lot of conversation around it. They've had a large part of people upset with the death of Ayatollah Khamenei, and they've attacked US consulates. US has had to ask all non-essential personnel to evacuate. So these are already signs of there being disturbances within the nation. Pakistan has also closed its airspace for the rest of the month. That shows that they are concerned whether there might be collateral damage to civilian flights and other infrastructure just by keeping their airspace open. But there is a large body of analysts that do believe very firmly that Pakistan's bases and ports in Balochistan area and Karachi are being used by Americans to refuel, to take off, to attack Iran. So there is a possibility that Iran would figure out that no matter how many condolences messages come through, no matter if the parliament continues to hold a 2-minute silence to mourn the death of Khamenei, Pakistan continues to be a stooge for USA, and that war might actually spill across the border. If Iran decides to start attacking Pakistan, Pakistan will have to divide its military forces, not just between Afghanistan and Iran. It is already fighting insurgency in the name of Baluch fighters who are fighting for their independence since the very day that their land was captured. So that is a 75-year-long war that they're already fighting, and it has tensions brewing with the Indian border. So Pakistan's army is in a very, very difficult place as such. They cannot afford to have Iran get angry or IRGC get irate at its tactics of trying to divert attention by playing the political dual game, that while they supply air defense against Iranian attacks to Saudi Arabia, they are also placating the Iranian politics and polity by giving out the right condolences messages. So their dual game might end up